Hello everybody. Today on this particular episode that we're going to be doing of Simple, Affordable, Eatable, we're going to be learning how to dice a little tiny onion. Most people have a knife that looks kind of like a Santoku knife. You can use these or you can use paring knives, it doesn't matter which. More people I think have these, but the method is entirely the same. These are called, depending on what country you live in, these are this is the bulb of a fully mature green onion, spring onion, or scallion, depending on what country you're in. Do very much the same way that you would a shallot or any other kind of round vegetable, but at first we have the paper to deal with, so we're going to chop that off, that stem end off, and we're going to peel the onion by taking our fingers and just coaxing the paper and the outer layer off, because oftentimes the outer layer is rather tough and you can't do anything with it. Looks like I needed to chop this end off too still, because I think some of the roots are still kind of attached to it. So this one's kind of slippery, but that's okay. You can tell if your knife is sharp enough by if you squash the knife and you start crying, squash the onion and you start crying, your knife is dull. These particular ones are not. They don't have enough sulfur in them, and there it rolls away. What you do is you can cut this in half to make it easier. That's generally what I do. And then you take your knife and score the outer edge into, well, you slice it down, but you don't slice it all the way through, because you're going to need that to hold everybody together while you're chopping. So you slice it through like that. Usually I do it quicker, but for the sake of showing you how you do it, I'm going rather slowly today. And then, because this one is so small, you just make one incision perpendicular to the scores that you made into the onion, and then you take your knife like this. We know that this is the proper way to hold a knife, by gripping it like so, and then you take your hand and you hold in a kind of cup shape, and then you just chop the onion up like this. Now, if it happens to where that you don't get everybody off, that's okay. You don't have to worry too much about it, because they're oftentimes so small to where you can just hash them up like so. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but you know the method now, and you'll know how to do this. I'm going to be using this for a salad that I'm going to make. But same thing, we're going to try it with a smaller knife just to see if it works any better on this one. Same thing, you take it and you score it through like so. This knife is probably better to do. You see those incisions there? I think you should be able to see how I've cut that, like so. And you cut through just once. Sometimes with a huge onion you'd cut twice. This one is so small to where you don't want to cut too many times, it seems like. And this one was so tiny to where you get to the end, you just kind of chop it through like such and hash it together. This was the method you would use for scallions if you were making sole bonne femme. The reason I'm doing them is because I'm going to be making, in our next little episode, I'm going to show you what you can do with cooked rice, and I'm going to show you what you can do with some tomatoes and some whatever other vegetables you have. This is the purpose that we're using this for. Also, you can also do this with potatoes. I'm going to show you how to do a potato rather quickly. This is a red boiling potato. With these, usually spherical objects, you cut right half in two like this. However, this knife is the wrong knife to be using for this. you're going to want to use a chef's knife. When you take 1/2 and you cut it like so, generally to keep the cuts that you make from sliding off everywhere away from the actual vegetable, I oftentimes grab it and then move the knife outwards. I usually don't make any more than 4 cuts crosswise, and then you turn it around and grab the same way, cutting downwards, making little dices like such. They're generally fairly even. Sometimes if your knife isn't very sharp, like mine is not extremely sharp or as sharp as it could be, they don't come off quite as well. You can do it that way if you want these longer ones, or you can take the other half. I'm going to scoot these over, and you can do similar to what you did beforehand. If you really wanted to, you cut the incisions just like you did on the onion, and then score them through like this. But don't go all the way back. Notice how I'm not going all the way back. There's still this part that isn't cut. And then you would cut through, and that makes even smaller dice. This makes the dice that you're probably more familiar with, little cubes that actually look like dice. That's good for making potato salad, just for doing all kinds of things, stews with, particularly beef stews and so forth. If you don't want to be terribly particular with it, that's okay, because we're not going to worry about this too much. This type of cut you can do in just about anything with potatoes. Thing I like to do with these is put them in a casserole dish and with some of these onions on them, and then some cream and some sausage, or some whole milk and some sausage, and you just bake it in the oven and sprinkle over some Swiss cheese on the top, and there you go. You have your own little meal that you don't have to worry about. So that's all for today on this particular episode, just about dicing vegetables. If I had some celery, I would show you how to do celery. But at this particular point, I don't have any celery, but we'll probably cover that on a time when we make stock, because you have to do the onion, a big onion, and you have to do carrots and celery as well. So we'll talk about them at a different time. But thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to giving y'all another video again.